the Chinese manufacturers are absolutely outraged at the legacy banking system. I mean, they have to wait between 6 and 8 weeks for payment, and they have to pay on the order of $100,000 to a bank just to channel the payment. Bitcoin just erases that.
Right. And it's interesting because these small companies are taking on these banks. And I worked in the banking industry for 9 years, and it's the constant innovator's dilemma. The young company wants to try it a new way. The old company wants to save and protect your profit margins. You don't even do it. You don't even really think about it. It's just like the banks don't want to move because this is a great business to be in. And and the young guys are trying to change it. The Bitcoin people, that kind. Now, and the banks probably don't even recognize it until someday they'll buy the company.
Right, exactly.
And they'll capitulate.
I mean, you have this, you have this heavily regulated finance, banking industry, right? And along comes Bitcoin, and it becomes this clash between what you can do and what the regulators think you can do, because the regulations were set up to protect the consumer, but that was 4 decades ago.
Right.
So you have this paradoxical situation where the regulations are actually preventing innovation. It's like Uber in Paris, the taxi company, or taxi similar to taxi company.
So Uber's trying to make taxis available to everyone, and then in Paris they're running up against taxi legislation.
Exactly. Okay. And in Paris, they've so outcompeted the legacy taxis that they actually were struck with regulations saying that they may not pick up a passenger until 15 minutes have passed from the taxi call. So they have to wait by the curbside for 13 minutes before they can pick people up.
Yeah, and that's a way is old school.
Right, and that's like how these old regulators see how they are leveling the playing field with the old inefficient dinosaurs, whereas in reality they are preventing innovation, they are preventing progress. So this is where I see Bitcoin coming in, because they don't basically care about regulation. The exchanges, the bridges to the old system are affected by regulation, but you can't really regulate once you go all Bitcoin.
Right. Now, Bitcoin, so you've been upfront with us. You have a big position in Bitcoin. You put all your money in Bitcoin.
Uh-huh.
It's almost hit $1,000 a Bitcoin.
It is.
In the last few days. It's gone up quite a bit in the last...
Actually, it's past 1,000
bucks.
Bucks.
So it's gone 4 or 5 times in the last month or two? Or 3 times?
In October, it was at 109 at its bottom. So it hit 1070 today. So it's practically a tenfold in slightly less than 2 months.
And one of your Twitter followers tweeted out something today, said, at what price will it remain stable? And you said something like between $2 and $5 million of Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's what I estimate.
Most people would fall off their chair hearing $2 to $5 million dollars of Bitcoin. But why do you say that? And why is that possible for evaluation?
Well, a lot of people are just seeing the charts and thinking, how high will it go? What I'm doing is counting backwards. This is a transactional currency, and it is a store of value. As such, it is a product and a service competing on a very tangible market for stores of value and for transactional currencies. So what is the size of that market?
Right. And this is important.
And how big a market share can Bitcoin realistically take within a foreseeable time frame? Right. When you ask that question, then you come up with a market cap of Bitcoin total, and then you divide that by the number of Bitcoin in circulation by your estimated time. And seeing how Chinese are buying Bitcoin like crazy, I actually had to adjust this number upwards, but then you come up with a number of about $2 to $5 million per Bitcoin.
Now there's about 21 million Bitcoins currently outstanding.
There will be 21 million Bitcoins outstanding at the end. Okay. Today we have about half of that.
About 12, half of that.
12-ish.
Because when I used to hear about the Bitcoin story, I did the same math you did. When at $100 a Bitcoin with say 10 million outstanding, that's like what, $1 billion of total capital. That's not even the market cap of Apple. That's 100th of the market cap. So I was like, this can't exist because it's not big enough, like you said, to be a. But when you start getting up in the numbers you're talking about $1 trillion.
Yeah, it's going to replace international trade.
Right. So it has to get that big in order to be a real currency.
Exactly.
And since it's infinitely dividable, it doesn't really matter the actual number of Bitcoins.
It doesn't in the slightest. You're going to be dealing in micro Bitcoins before soon.
So whether they're 10 million or 100 million, or it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter. It's easily divisible to 16 decimal places today, and you can extend that as long as you want.